Let me share my screen. Okay, right. So let me what in the last week we discussed about user administration, how to create a user, types of users, user deletion, etc. But we haven't touched anything about the roles. So now we are actually, before studying the roles, we need to understand the data about what type of data exists in the HANA database, because we are giving access to the HANA database data. So if you understand the data, what type of data is present in the system, in the database level, then it's easy for us. Like similar to, for example, in SAP, if you want to grant access to a table, you need to know, have a background of it, right? You should have a background. Like whenever user is asking for a table access, you will ensure that the user will have SA16T code. That is one thing, you will check it. And the second thing is, under authorization objects, s underscore tabu underscore dis, s underscore tabu underscore nam, you will ensure that table name is maintained. Only then the user will be able to access the table. Because you know what is the background of it, what type of data user is trying to access. And similarly, you also know what T codes and authorization objects provide access to it. Similarly, you need to understand the data in a database level. So let's try to understand that. Catalog objects. So we call all the data, whatever present in the database level, as what? Catalog objects. So now coming to catalog objects, schema is the parent of all catalog objects. Schema is the parent of all catalog objects. So I think we have seen already schema part. When we are creating any user, the system will automatically create that particular schema on the username. So schema is considered to be the parent of all catalog objects. Means what? Whatever the data you create in within the database level, it should be under the schema. So whether it is a custom schema, which was created by user, or the standard schema which came by default. Okay. So there are various types of RDBMS artifacts. RDBMS is nothing but a database management system, real-time database management system. Artifacts like tables, views, stored procedures, triggers, sequences. You have a lot of data in the database level. So example, table is one of the data, view is one of the data, which we encounter with it. Okay, as a security consultant, you will be maximum dealing with the tables, because user will be asking access for a table or a view. So what is a table? It's a store and define the structure of the data. So table contains data in simple words. View is what? It's like a logic we write, and the data representation. The data will be presented when you execute a view. So why do we need to know about the catalog objects? Because there is something called object privileges. This provides access to the catalog objects. That object. Okay. Why do we need to know about catalog objects? There is a privileges concept. We need to go into privilege. So later after this topic, we will enter into the privileges concept. So there, one category of privilege is called as object privilege. So that object privilege purely depends on this particular data types. So let us see the different types of catalog objects now. So schema is a logical organizational unit, parent to all the catalog objects. So let me also back that into system. We can see parallelly the data. Just check my credentials. So we are logging into SAP, not needed. HANA Studio. So I logged in into system. Now we can see. Let's go through the first folder. So catalog. So we have seen the catalog folder in the previous session also. It contains schemas, right? So this schema, so there are, for example, best you take. Best is actually we have a user in the same name. So whatever the users are there, the schemas will be present on that name. So best I have user. So that is the reason I have the best schema. Similarly, sys we have. Sys is a standard schema. So here sys is a standard ID, which comes by default. Comes by default means what? When you install this HANA Studio or the HANA database, by default there will be some standard IDs. So whichever are present by default are considered to be standard. Okay. So this sys is one of the standard schema. And if I go under it, if you can see, these are different types of data what we have, like views, EPM model, EPM query, function, indexes, procedures, sequences, synonyms, tables, triggers, views. So that's why I'm calling it what schema is what? Parent of all catalog objects. These are all the different types of catalog objects. So that is what the definition which we saw just now. Schema, parent to all catalog objects. It's a logical organization unit, parent to all catalog objects. Okay, so all of you understood about the schema part. And then going into different tables now, we have table you can see. So these are all the tables. It could be a database table or it could be your backend S4 HANA table as well. Whatever it could be, the table. So when you open any table, So you can click on data preview to see the data. So here it says insufficient privilege for me because they have not granted individual tables access for me for this particular. So we have schema. Under schema, we have a table. Table you all know. What is a trigger now? Trigger is something, it is related to, you might have heard this name several places. Like in GRC also we have one trigger concept. In HR system we have trigger concept. What exactly is a trigger? So for a trigger, we write a condition. Like what condition? Event. We can say when a particular event is happened. Say for example, if the database capacity, user database table capacity, memory usage has increased more than 90%. Imagine the memory capacity has increased more than 90%. So we are left with only 10%. Means system can any down, anytime can crash, or anytime can hang if it reaches 100% memory. So it should be less than 90%. So there is no issue if the memory usage is less than 90%. But when system is reaching more than 90%, we can write a code in such a way when the memory usage utilization is reaching 90 plus, then you can execute a code, write a small code to delete some old data in your tables or database level. So what happens when you delete the data? It comes down to 90%, less than 90% again. Okay. So sort means this trigger, this code will get executed when that condition has to be met. What condition? That nothing but the memory utilization is crossing 90%. That is a condition we are putting in the form of trigger. The trigger will happen only when that condition is satisfied. So definition wise, code that executes a procedure depending on the variety of events that occur in RDBMS. So event, I told you what is the event? Memory utilization reaching 90%. So some sort of thing triggers. So we don't deal with triggers. We deal with as a security consultant views because we need to understand the view. So view is nothing but a report. What is a report? Report is nothing but you can say like a columns and rows and columns. A report will basically contain rows and columns. User will say generally like he can come to you saying that I want this report access. When a report is executed, I am able to see only 10 columns. Ideally, it should be 11 columns. Or he is saying this report has 100 rows of data, but I am able to see only 10 rows of data. So getting my point right, where how the table restrictions have to be done, all those things we need to understand. So that's why that report views are important for us. We need to understand the view. So when BW team is creating the view, you can ask the BW team to show you the view, how it looks like, and how users should look like for users, for different types of regions of users, how the report will look like. So we can then understand where the restriction has to be applied. So it's a logical tables. Reports are nothing but performs actions like combining tables, restricting data, or aggregation of the results. Combining tables means what? I can fetch the data from two or more tables and then create a report view. While fetching, I want to apply restriction based on the company code or based on the region of the user. And then I may also need aggregation of the data. What do you mean by aggregation? Total sales, total expenditure in the month, in a fiscal year, in a quarter. So I don't want individual month. I want aggregation, summation, or you can say aggregation, different types of formula you can use it on the data. Okay. So that's about a view. So if you want to understand more about a view, you can sit with your BW team, how they are creating a view. So it is always knowledge. The more knowledge you have in the on the HANA views, the more easily you can design the security on top of it. So synonyms we don't use. They use at the coding level, the SQL code level. Synonyms, sequences, procedures. Okay, procedures also we use as a security consultant. Where do we use it? What exactly is procedure? I'll just explain you the definition now. But once we go to next topic, in the privileges, you will see where exactly it is used. So procedure is a complex developed SQL code. It's nothing but a code in simple words. It's a program. It's a code, but not a complete program. You can call it you can call it as a dynamic program. What is the meaning of dynamic program? So this is something like that supports both input and output parameters. Means I have some set of code. If I give input to that code, okay, you all, I think in your graduation days, you might studied about sign in C++ language. We have sign cos, sin x function, right? Do you remember what is the purpose of it? Anyone? Anyone remembers the function of sin x? If you are using C++, okay, I don't know how many of you remember that, but so suppose so in C++ we have something like this, like we have sine in the brackets they put it as x, that is equal to, so here x can be anything, like for example if x is equal to uh, 0.1, what will be the value here? So behind this sign there is some code. The system will apply the code for this value and the result will be given out, some value, maybe like something could be like this. I'm just give me 2 minutes. I think the battery is not working. Okay, it's good now. Yeah. So understood all of you? As the x value will vary, suppose if I put it value as a x is equal to 1, the output will differ, right? because of the code it will execute. It will place 1 here. For maybe for 1, the value is different. The value may be different. Some other, you can get some other output. So the code behind this sign function is called as a procedure code. That is what we are talking about. Complex developed SQL code, stored procedure we call it, support both input and output parameters, a dynamic one. So based on your input, the output will vary. Okay, all of you got it? So where exactly we use it, how exactly we use it, we will see in our privileges concept when we go to privileges. Next is indexes. So we also don't use from security point of view indexes. This is used by the developers or coding persons. It is index is used to optimize the retrieval of data from a table. So in simple words, if you want to explain you, indexing is something, suppose if system is taking more time to fetch data. If system is taking more time to fetch the data from a table, when the developers or the ABAP people, what they do indexing to the table. So when they do indexing, it will take very less time to fetch the data or store the data. So that is what here they say word optimized. When you say the word optimized, they are trying to minimize the data, minimize the time for data storage or data retrieval. Increases the performance of queries. Increased storage. With all these indexes, they can do that. So we don't use it, the developers use it. And then we have functions, snippets of SQL code to perform read-only operation. So it is similar to a coding format again. Snippets means what? A part of code, SQL code. Single valued input, single valued output, table valued input and output. So it is also a code. If I want to give from programming point of view, program will have a lot of code followed by a function and then followed by a stored procedure. So this is the volume of the code used in the respective things. So these are all the different types of data. So we can all see them in the system under a schema like the column view, EPM model, if functions, indexes, procedures, sequences, synonyms, etc., etc. So no need to understand mainly. We need to understand only tables and procedures and views from security point of view. Okay. So all the data in the SAP database, what we call it as what? Catalog objects. So don't get familiarized with the word object. Object, catalog object. Get familiarized with the word. Okay, let's move on to object ownership. So whatever the objects or data we discussed so far, who owns it? That is the question, main question here. Who will own the data, whatever we have seen so far? So if you see, there are two categories I told you here. Native catalog objects and repository catalog objects. Native catalog objects means what? Whichever user is creating, that is considered to be native catalog objects. Repository catalog objects means what? When you create a data with a certain procedure you follow. I told you repository data always owned by the system IDs, standard IDs. So when you create any data as a repository, the owner will be by default underscore sys underscore repo. If you don't create as a repository data, the user himself will become the owner of the data. So I think you all know what is the problem with this. If you do not create as a repository, you will become the owner of the data, whatever you create. And when your user ID is deleted, all the data you have created will also get deleted. That is the risk we are having if you are creating as a native catalog objects or native data. Okay, right. So this is what you have to understand first. Now we can move on to next topic, which is privileges. Okay, just give me a minute. My charger is not working. I have to replace it. Okay. So any queries regarding the data? So let's enter into the authorizations from database point of view. So we call here authorizations as privileges concept. We call authorizations as what? Privileges concept. So now onwards we'll call it as HANA privileges. We don't call it as authorizations. So what are the different types of privileges what we have? In HANA, what are the types of privileges are? System privileges, object privileges, analytical privileges, package privileges, and application privileges. Total 5 types of privileges we have. And in that, we can only customize third one, analytical privilege, and then application privileges. So mostly 99% we go with only this customization, analytical privileges only. We may not get opportunity to go for this one, application privileges. So once you understand, you will understand why it is not required. So remaining all other 3 are always system delivered. So system delivered means what? Delivered by SAP, we can just use them. No need to create them or customize them. Use as it is. System, object, package, you just use them, whatever the system has provided. We cannot customize or we cannot create any privileges. So first coming to system privileges. So this table explains you better. So we have 4 columns. If you see, system privilege applicable to whom? System applicable to system and database, target user, administrators and developers. The system privilege is a target user whom we can grant it. Only administrator and developer. Never assign this to system. Never assign system privileges to end users. End users don't need also. Like examples. So you can see the privileges like creating schema, creating, changing users, roles, performing data backups, managing licenses, system privileges. So all these things user don't need it. So system privileges only will be granted to whom? Administrators and developers. So let me show you the list of the system privileges what we have in the system. So when I go to under user, I'll check under the user. So this is my ID. I go to system privileges. You see here, this is the list of system privileges. So we cannot grant it to any end user. Right? So like mostly if you want to make it understand, you see this one, like user admin, it is a security one, table admin, role admin, all these things. Audit admin, backup admin. So we cannot grant definitely to the users. You can grant only to the non-end users like administrators and developers. So how do you grant this to the user? Not directly under the user ID. What you have to do? Create a role with respective privilege, system privilege. For example, I am creating a role for BWT. You can create a role as a BW admin, and under that role, you can place all these related to BW guy, whatever they do. So you can create them and give this grant the privileges related to that particular person. Or I can create a security admin role and give all this access, user admin, role admin, etc. under the role, so that when that role is granted to the user, he will get by default all these privileges. So that is the concept you have to follow. You have to abide with your system, what is the procedure in your organization. So you can put up a rule in the organization saying that never grant privileges directly to the users. Okay, never grant privileges directly to the users. Every privilege access should come from where? From the roles concept. Okay, all the access always should come from where? From the roles concept. All of you clear about the system privileges now? What are they and whom we can grant it? The next one, object privileges. Give me 2 minutes. It is still problematic for me.
ತುಳಸಿ ಅನ್ನ ಅಶ್ವಗಂಧಗಳ ರೇಖೆಗಳು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಕೇರ್ మోసకాకు ఆరోగ్యానికి తక్కువ ఫలితాలు 5 ఆయుర్వేద తత్వాలతో పాటు రేఖీయ న్యాచురల్ కేర్.
Okay, not sure, something is happening with my laptop. Okay, sorry guys. Okay. Okay, object privileges now. So object privileges, we just discussed about data, right? Different types of data. Database objects applicable to database objects like schemas, tables, views, procedures, etc. Who will be granted this access? End users are coming here, you see, and then technical users also. End user and technical user. So why end user and technical user? Why not administrator here? Why not administrator here? Okay, all of you take a break of 10 minutes. If you can hear me,
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
so take a break of 10 minutes. Let me clarify the thing. Yeah, I think I'm facing some problem with my laptop. The charger is not properly working. Let me rectify it. So give me 10 minutes. After we'll meet after 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
మంచిగా
అలాంటి అమ్మాయి అడగాలి కానీ నేనైతే శ్మశానానికనే వెళ్ళిపోతాను.
4 మాటలు పోగేసి ఉత్తరం రాస్తే
ఈ వీడియోలో ఉండే కంటెంట్ నవ్వుతూ చెప్పేది కాదు కానీ నిజానికి నవ్వాలా ఏడవలా అర్థం కాదు. ఇండియా స్ట్రాంగెస్ట్ మ్యాన్ ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్ నరేంద్ర మోడీ అలాంగ్ విత్ 4-5 చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్స్ హైదరాబాద్ కి బేగంపేట ఎయిర్పోర్ట్ కి వస్తే మన తెలంగాణ స్టేట్ స్ట్రాంగెస్ట్ మ్యాన్ సీఎం కేసీఆర్ రిసీవింగ్ వెళ్ళలేదు. పొద్దున సదన్ వెళ్తే చెప్తున్నారు. పరేడ్ గ్రౌండ్స్ చుట్టుపక్కల జిహెచ్ఎంసీ క్లీనింగ్ అని పంపించలేదంట. స్ట్రీట్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ కదా అది. ఇంకా బయట కట్అవుట్ చూస్తే క్రాస్ మార్కెటింగ్. ఒక సైడ్ అంతా కేసీఆర్ పిక్చర్లు, ఒక సైడ్ అంతా మోడీ పిక్చర్లు. ఒక సైడ్ ఏమో కేసీఆర్ గారు మోడీజీని సేల్స్ ని అంటున్నారు. ఇంకో సైడ్ ఏమో కేటీఆర్ గారు ఇన్స్టాగ్రామ్ లో వాట్సాప్ వీడియోస్ అంటున్నారు. ఇంకా ఆయన పోస్టులు చూడాలి, ఆయన స్టోరీలు, ఆ మీమ్ షేరింగ్. అమ్మా ఒక్కసారి కింద ఈ మీమ్స్ ఆ వీడియోస్ చూడండి, ఎంత రసవత్తరంగా నడుస్తుంది బీజేపీ వర్సెస్ టీఆర్ఎస్. అసలు ఐపీఎల్ ఫైనల్స్ కూడా ఇంత ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ లేకుండా నాకైతే. ఇలాంటివి చూస్తే పాలిటిక్స్ అంటే చాలా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వస్తుంది నాకు. హౌ మెనీ ఆఫ్ యూ లైక్ పాలిటిక్స్?
పిట్టలు కాల్చి పడేసిన చిన్న చిన్న సిగ్గు.
మీలో 99% రాంగ్ షాంపూ వాడుతున్నారు. మా దగ్గర బడ్జెట్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది, సెలబ్రిటీ దగ్గర బడ్జెట్ ఉంటుంది అనుకుంటే ఇట్స్ ఎ మిస్టేక్. మనకు కొద్దిగా నాలెడ్జ్ ఉండాలంటే. బికాస్
ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఈజ్ వెల్త్.
జేబులో 200 రూపాయలు ఉన్న మార్కెట్ లో బెటర్ షాంపూస్ ఉన్నా మనం ఎందుకు సల్ఫేట్ పారాబిన్స్ కెమికల్స్ ఉంటే షాంపూస్ వాడతాం? ఎందుకంటే షాంపూస్ మార్కెటింగ్ లోకి డబ్బులు వెళ్తున్నాయి. 3 బాక్సులు షాంపూస్ 200 రూపీస్ లోపల. హవిత న్యాచురల్ షాంపూ ఆమ్లా చిక్కగా ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ అవుతాయి. మీ హెయిర్ ని చాలా బాగా చూసుకుంటారు. అద్భుతమైన రిజల్ట్. ఇంకా అసలు కెమికల్స్ లేవు. మహాగ్రో పౌడర్ షాంపూ. ఈ షాంపూ కూడా పౌడర్ ఫామ్ లోనే వస్తుంది. బట్ చిక్కగా గుడ్నెస్ ఉంటుంది. గిన్నుందా అందులో వాటర్ వేసి పౌడర్ వేసి నీళ్ళు ఉంటేది నురగ రాదు. బట్ హెయిర్ బాగుంటుంది. నాకు నురగ కావాలి మీరంటే నీకు నురగ రావడం ఇంపార్టెంట్, హెయిర్ హెల్దీగా ఉండడం ఇంపార్టెంట్. దాన్ని తీసుకొని ఈ మూడులో మీకేం కావాలి ఇంకొకసారి చెప్తాను. మీలో 99% రాంగ్ షాంపూ వాడుతున్నారు. మా దగ్గర బడ్జెట్ ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది తెలుగు.
అయ్యో అత్తమ్మ ఆపు కదా తీసుకున్నాను తీసుకొని రావాలా? నా ప్రాంతాల్లో ఒకటి ఇంత వరకు కాలం తీసుకొని నడవలేదు. కాలం కూడా నడుస్తా పడ్డది పడ్డది పడ్డ రొట్టి పడుతుంది. చెప్పని నీ గ్రామాన్న ఎప్పుడు కదా ఇంటికి తీసుకొని నడవమ్మా ఇప్పుడే నడుస్తా.
పాపం పోలీసారు డ్యూటీ చేసి చేసి దూపగొన్నట్టున్నారు. బోరింగ్ కొడుతున్నాడు సారు. గుట్ట గుట్ట తాగిండ్రంటే